This is Part 2 Episode 191. As the Emperor friends of his searched for purple clock on Yangji continent, Luo Feng began his trip back from the camp to the continent. Several days later. Universe travel complete. A space ripple occurred at the travel point closest to the main continent and a black disk ship appeared. Within the ship, Luo Feng sat at the control room and frowned. We have so many emperors in the human camp, yet no one has found him. Luo Feng, when Purple Clock released your information before, he definitely guessed that you'd come looking for him. Hence, it's normal that he's hidden himself. Finding him won't be easy. A child head floated in the control room. There's no point waking up early if there's no benefit. Luo Feng laughed. I only got my emperor friends to help keep a lookout. They would at most look around, and there are only so few of them. How vast is the main continent? Back then, when I first came here, I didn't even meet another emperor for an extremely long time. For these emperors to find Purple Clock, it's hard enough. Without any rewards, they wouldn't even order their official underlings to help look. And even if they did so, the officials would only do the bare minimum, who would actually waste their energy. Luo Feng, you want to give a bounty? Barbata's eyes gleamed with excitement. Right, bounty. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed. I've long seen through this. Regardless if it's us, or the other races, warriors all own treasures, and no one would risk their lives needlessly. For the strong to have treasures is normal, and no one else would risk the danger of fighting for that treasure. The weak having treasure is completely different, many of them would come to snatch it away. I was very low profile in the past, and no one knew I had treasure. Hence, no one ever found trouble with me. However, after the sacrificial tower, with Purple Clock publicly announcing, I have no way to stay low profile anymore. Since that's so, then I have to display enough strength to scare off the others. The moment I make my move, it has to completely shock and scare off all of the other warriors. Luo Feng muttered, only that would be worth it. That's my aim for this time. To let them know the consequences of offending me. That day, he sent out bounties to the countless warriors in the human camp on Yangji main continent. They were all shocked, because it wasn't a private offering, but rather a public bounty sent through the army system to all allies on Yangji main continent. And Luo Feng had already transferred the reward to the army system account. 50 million mixed elements. This bounty simply required one to just discover the location of Purple Clock. Once the coordinates are confirmed, that person would receive 50 million. Madness. This human Yang Shaw is mad. He's been hiding in the camp for so long, but the moment he appears, he puts a huge bounty of Purple Clock. 50 million, we officials usually at most only have 10 million in total. It takes countless years to even get that amount, and now all we have to do is discover this other emperor's location, and we'd get such a huge sum. Madness. 50 million. This Yang Shaw is wealthy. Ha ha, this is getting interesting. All the other race warriors are watching him, and he still dares to put such a bounty on Purple Clock. Looks like he must be prepared, and the battle will be interesting. Who is Purple Clock? Yang is placing a bounty on Purple Clock. Looks like this Purple Clock must have been the one that revealed information about him. The entire Yangji continent was in an uproar. There were after all very few emperors, and most of them were officials and normal undyings. To them, the 50 million mixed elements was a huge sum, which was enough to make all of them go crazy. They wouldn't dare go fight with the other race emperors, but they still dared to occasionally eavesdrop and search about. The hunt for Purple Clock Emperor had started. Countless undyings from the human camp were madly searching about. Just like when the other race warriors were searching for Yang before, now it was the other way around. However, the human camp's search was much crazier. This was after all a public bounty. However, 1 day, 2 days, half a month, 1 month. There was no news of Purple Clock. What's up with him? Luo Feng had almost reached Yangji main continent in his ship. He frowned and muttered in the control room, not right, he let out news to force my hand, and he should be wanting me to reveal myself. Now that I've released a public bounty, he should have reacted. And the news of my bounty is huge, it should have reached him. He should know that I'm looking for him. But he's vanished. Did he leave the main continent? Luo Feng shook his head. No, for Purple Clock to force him to reveal himself, it shouldn't be that simple. Luo Feng, I have a feeling that he's hiding to observe what happens, he will show himself sooner or later. Barbata said. According to the battles from the tower, he's extremely scheming. Unless there's no hope, he would never give up. Even against the Emperor Limit Gold Kang, he still dared to attack. Against you, he would definitely not be scared away. Luo Feng nodded. Automaton Camp's virtual world, within an iron skyscraper, on a particular level's hall. Purple Clock sat casually eating food. Suddenly the door opened and two warriors entered. One of them was completely covered in fur with a single red eye, almost like an upright beast, and he gave off a wild energy. The other was a tall and skinny warrior, over 8 m tall in a silver robe and black mask. His mask had peculiar engravings. Purple Clock, you sure are relaxed, enjoying delicacies in the virtual world. Don't you know that countless undyings from the human camp are madly searching for you on the main continent? The tall and skinny man had a piercing voice as he said. The bounty on your head is 50 million. This is akin to our automaton camp's 100 million indigo gems. This is no small sum. The beast spoke, as his voice echoed with growls of a beast. Blood Beast Emperor. Heavy Arrow Emperor. He looked up and revealed a smile. Don't I have you too? 2 Emperor limits here, who would I fear on the main continent? Ha ha ha, the beast immediately let out a roaring laughter. Purple Clock, you are right. With us too, within the entire Yangji continent, none of the emperors are a threat at all. Ha ha. The tall masked man laughed lightly, his laughter was filled with confidence. Purple Clock continued, as for the 50 million bounty on me, it can only mean one thing, this human Yang is extremely wealthy. As long as we kill him, ha ha, I believe the rewards will definitely surprise you too. Both emperors nodded. Blood Beast Emperor, Heavy Arrow Emperor. The both of them were specially invited by Purple Clock. They were both Emperor limits in Star Tower. There were hardly any Emperor limits on Yangji continent. Only the most dangerous region of the area, Star Tower, had such warriors. They were both no weaker than Gold Kang. This time, Purple Clock had specially paid both 5 billion indigo gems along with 1/3 of the spoils to get them to assist him. They could get 1/3 of the human Yang's wealth. Blood Beast and Heavy Arrow would even get 5 billion upfront. Even if they knew that Yang wasn't one to mess with, they both still agreed. Shouldn't be messed with. It's because of that you invited 2 Emperor limits. Purple Clock is indeed generous. Looks like that human's wealth must be shocking too, he truly got the treasure from the sacrificial tower. Even 1/3 for us each would be a huge sum. This will be huge. A high emperor, even with his trump cards and warrior friends. Who would we have to fear? Both emperors had conversed secretly when they were invited, finally they both accepted. Purple Clock, Blood Beast and Heavy Arrow sat around the dining table and chatted while enjoying delicacies. Purple Clock, that human has placed such a huge bounty on you, when will you show yourself? Heavy Arrow said softly. I have to first let him think that I'm weak. He smiled. Let him think I'm afraid, ha ha. I'll first hide outside the continent, they have no way to find me. However, it's not long before I'll show myself. I'll suddenly appear, and purposely let myself be discovered by the human camp. Luring him into the trap. His eyes gleamed with ferocity, then I'll get you two to help. 2 Emperor limits working together should be enough to crush him with overwhelming strength. The moment we make a move, we will completely leave him with no chance. Ha ha, thrilling. I respect your style. Blood Beast laughed loudly, his voice booming about, right, we can completely overwhelm him. I hate the long tiring fights, those are too troublesome. It's better to completely squash the enemy. Heavy Arrow nodded. You two should prepare outside the continent. Purple Clock laughed. The moment he enters my trap, I will immediately inform you too, and you should teleport immediately. Relax. Blood Beast said. We'll both head to the space outside Yangji continent to await your call. Heavy Arrow said. Purple Clock smiled and toasted. I won't make you two wait long. Come, let us toast to acquiring the sacrificial tower treasure. Come, to the treasure. Blood Beast lifted his glass. Luo Feng was awaiting Purple Clock's news when Tru Yang sent a mail to him, stating he was at Yuseong Mountain waiting for him. Within Luo Feng's villa in Primal Region Yuseong Mountain. The staff had already brewed a hot pot of tea. Tru Yang sniffed it before taking a sip. Teacher. Luo Feng walked in. You wanted to see me. Tru Yang put down his cup and smiled proudly. Disciple, this tea from your home Earth is not bad. It's comparable to the drinks from many other places, and the more I taste it the more I like it. I've added this tea to my collection, also its price is very reasonable. Since you like it, I will let my family prepare the latest brews and send it to you and the Primal Chaos City leader. Luo Feng said. Tea leaves were a business of the Pinghai Company. The company had some foundation in Earth. Naturally it would cultivate different types in different parts of the universe, studying new tea leaves and creating more flavors. In terms of quantity, naturally his family had the most. Ha ha, good. Tru Yang laughed. I'm here today, because I heard your young identity has recently sold a great amount of expensive goods. And after checking, I learnt about the 7th Battlefield's Yangji continent, and that the news of you acquiring the sacrificial tower treasure has spread. Is this true? Yes. Luo Feng nodded. His teacher naturally knew of his young identity. Tru Yang was shocked, his eyes gleamed. Any trouble? Some. Luo Feng smiled, but I can handle it, don't worry. That's good, I know your personality. Since you can say so, I'm not worried at all. Tru Yang nodded and asked curiously, how much is the treasure worth? To create such a fuss. Hundreds of billions of mixed elements. Luo Feng didn't hide at all. Tru Yang stared shocked. Hundreds of billions. You are not joking, right? For a place like Yangji to have treasure worth tens of billions is already not bad. How did it get so high? Luo Feng smiled. Ha ha, lucky fellow, I truly got a good disciple. Tru Yang laughed loudly, and his eyes pleased. Disciple, I'm very satisfied with your performance on Yangji continent. However, you cannot be proud. Just because I'm satisfied doesn't mean your other teacher, the city leader, will be satisfied. His perspectives are much higher than mine. I understand. Luo Feng nodded. His city leader teacher stood at the pinnacle of trillions of races, and to satisfy him wasn't such an easy task. To the city leader, hundreds of billions of mixed elements wasn't even worth mentioning. As the number one person of the virtual universe company, with his authority, he could easily check everything about Luo Feng in the outer region wars. Yet, he had never complimented Luo Feng on acquiring the treasure. Maybe to him, it wasn't even worth saying. The only time he had truly complimented Luo Feng was when he created his pinnacle technique Moon Policy. Work hard. Since the Primal Chaos City leader has taken you in, you cannot relax at all. This position as the disciple was full of honor, and also full of pressure. All warriors would naturally expect your performance to far exceed other warriors. Only then would you be worthy of that title. Performing exceptionally is to be expected. If you don't reach that standard, you will be mocked. Tru Yang said. Yes, teacher. Luo Feng nodded. Just like how Purple Clock was shocked by Luo Feng's performance back in the tower. However, if he had only known that he was facing the disciple of the Primal Chaos City leader, then, no matter how many trump cards Luo Feng took out, he wouldn't have been shocked. He would have considered it as absolutely normal. One had to know just what kind of being the city leader was. Luo Feng chatted with Tru Yang for a while. Tru Yang was proud of him and predicted that Luo Feng would become his most exceptional student. However, he was still worried within that he wouldn't be recognized by the Primal Chaos City leader. Naturally, he paid close attention to his growth. He often came to reiterate this point. Hearing you say this, This purple clock sounds extremely scheming and evil, and he definitely has already set up a trap. True Yang nodded. To release such information, he definitely has a plan, he wouldn't hide from fear. I thought so too. Luo Feng nodded, but he still hasn't shown himself. Wait patiently. True Yang said. You must have patience. Even though your enemy sounds strong, I believe you can handle it. There were many in the universe that could actually reach the level of Emperor limit, however very few actually become invincible amongst emperors and close to knight level. Techniques, law comprehension, amplification techniques, treasures, mental state, none could be lacking. True Yang had experienced countless types of warriors and had vast experience. He easily saw through Purple Clock, just from hearing about him. Be it his craftiness or scheming personality, he saw through it all. But he was clear that his disciple Luo Feng would be able to deal with it properly. Luo Feng may seem normal and average, but he was wise and understood his own strengths and weaknesses, knowing when to stay low profile and when to unleash his full strength. Even in the face of death, he is able to make a calm decision. That was Luo Feng. Compared to Purple Clock, that was true wisdom, a seemingly low profile but terrifying enemy. Your weakness lies in your own strength being weak. True Yang said, don't get careless. I've already made preparations. Luo Feng nodded. Of course, the universe has too many mysterious things about. I do not dare proclaim absolute guarantee, but I at least have 90% confidence. Luo Feng, there's a call request along with a mail, both from the same number. Barbata said. Luo Feng gently tapped in mid-air and a screen appeared. He first received the call and opened the mail. On it was a black-armored tall and sturdy bull giant said, I've discovered the whereabouts of the Chi-Chan warrior Purple Clock Emperor, his coordinates are. The mail had the same details. He's been found. Luo Feng immediately stood up. Very good, the moment it's confirmed, I will send the reward over. Luo Feng replied. Please rush over to the location. Once time passes, he might slip away. The bull giant said. The call was cut and True Yang smiled beside, Purple Clock has shown himself. Yes. Luo Feng nodded. This will be a life or death battle, even if you have the advantage, don't get careless. True Yang reminded him, go on, I'll be here awaiting your good news. Yes. Luo Feng smiled, after which he vanished from the virtual universe. Yangji continent, within an ice cave. Purple Clock sat crossed-legged alone on an ice rock. His large and mini scanners were only scanning, and their jamming abilities were deliberately shut off. Hence the lucky official level Undying from the human camp was able to discover him. Discovered me. An official level punk. He said softly, I'll rely on you to get Yang into my trap, consider yourself lucky. Purple Clock sensed the space ripples about. He was proficient in the space laws, and was able to teleport too. Hence, he was incredibly sensitive in being able to feel the space ripples. Spatial ripples, teleportation. His eyes gleamed, the human has fallen into my trap. About 1,000 kilometers away from him, the silver-winged and armored human appeared simultaneously with a black silhouette. Cha Wu Emperor, thanks. Luo Feng said. Look for me if you need such help again. The silhouette laughed before vanishing. I have to keep relying on pinnacle emperors since I cannot teleport. It's a pity, my law comprehension is far from it. Luo Feng shook his head and ordered, Barbata, have you found Purple Clock? Purple Clock is 3,201 kilometers away in that ice cave. He's sitting crossed-legged on a rock, and even though his scanning device is activated, it's not jamming any signals. He's obviously waiting for you. Barbata communicated. I know he's got a plan. We both know it. Luo Feng laughed. We are both not stupid, since both are prepared, knowing both sides won't back down, this fight is unavoidable. He's obviously very confident, but I am confident too. When he falls, he will regret this. Barbata, since the report was accurate, send the reward to that lucky official. Luo Feng said. Yes. At different levels, the amount offered was different too. Barbata, we have to give Purple Clock a greeting. Luo Feng smiled. Alina, attack twice according to the plan earlier. Yes, master. The mother nest appeared beside him. Thousands of kilometers away in the cave, Purple Clock frowned. There were 2 consecutive ripples earlier. They were both teleportation, appearing and leaving. That should be a warrior bringing Yang over, then he left alone. Since Yang is here, why hasn't there been any movement? Does he not dare to attack me? Numerous bug soldiers circled around the mother nest, and every soldier was 10 meter to 100 meter apart, forming a huge ball. 1 million tiger armored kings formed a huge ball, and the other ball consisted of 500,000 tiger armored kings, 200,000 shadow spear kings, and 200,000 hunting mantis kings. Close to 2 million kings stored their energy. Luo Feng's mini scanner was able to completely cover 20 kilometers. As for the entire area of the ball, in terms of space, it blocked out all sensing from outside. Attack! The silver-armored youth standing beside the mother nest smiled and ordered. Yes, master. Alina replied. First wave attack. Rumble. The million tiger armored bugs released all their stored energies. The skies and land instantly changed color, as countless laser beams shot out and gathered in a glaring and terrifying spot, which turned into a beam. This energy beam hit the ice mountain, and it was reduced to nothing. The mountain range slowly disappeared. Rumble. A terrifying energy wave spread out. Second wave, attack. Alina released control of the first wave and immediately controlled the second wave. Once again, they gathered their energy and unleashed it all on a targeted spot, destroying everything in its path. Back. All back into the world ring. Luo Feng first kept the mother nest in his ring and collected the soldiers after. Purple Clock, who had been sitting crossed-legged within, muttered. That human Yang may be acting cautious, carefully scanning from outside. Suddenly a terrifying energy blast descended. It reached here at light speed. With only a few thousands kilometers of distance, at 300,000 kilometers per second, how long would it take to reach? By the time Purple Clock sensed it, the attack had already reached. Not good. Against the terrifying attack, he instantly teleported and vanished, escaping. Rumble. A thick laser beam decimated the area, never once exploding. The point of explosion for the attacks were completely controlled by the Queen. As the million beams gather, 10 at a time, they began to condense, until 100 of them were gathered. Another 10, and another, until the numbers grew absurd before and reaching its limit. The distance, angle, projection would all affect the condensing of beams. Only when it had fully gathered to its limit would it explode. As long as the Queen willed it, she could make the attack explode hundreds of thousands of kilometers away, or millions of kilometers away. This time, Luo Feng knew that this attack had no way to harm Purple Clock with his ancient clock, and he could teleport too, since it wasn't within the sacrificial tower. Even though he had the space lock-arm bad, this was his trump card. He would only use it at a critical time. This bug attack didn't have enough power, and the enemy had teleportation ability. Hence, he made the Queen only explode it 300 kilometers away. His goal was simply to stir up the enemy, forcing him to reveal his trump cards early. 2 waves, one after another, with only a difference of 0.1 seconds. After which Luo Feng immediately kept the Queen and then the soldiers. As for the full explosion, that happened a full second later. Even so, when Purple Clock sensed the terrifying energy rushing over, he was so scared he immediately teleported. He teleported to a distant place on the continent. What a terrifying attack. He took a deep breath, his eyes raging. This human must have bought a terrifying weapon after acquiring the treasure. That combined attack before is akin to a pinnacle emperor's explosion. Luckily I invited Emperor limits, these attacks are useless. He floated in the air for 10 seconds before teleporting back. The explosion caused the entire ice mountain range to be reduced to nothing, leaving a vast crater, over 1 million kilometers deep. After a while, a silhouette appeared within. Purple Clock Emperor appeared. He gazed down at the huge crater, and at the distant silver-armored and winged youth. He couldn't help but feel shocked. This human unleashed such an attack the moment he arrived. He's too arrogant and confident, or is he simply stupid? From the battle in the tower, he didn't seem stupid at all. I cannot get careless. The moment I'm not careful, I could lose my life. I better immediately call the two Emperor limits over, and let them take the risks instead. HMPH. I'll just wait for my chance to kill him. Many thoughts flashed through his mind. Luo Feng's goal had been reached. His bug army attack had completely scared Purple Clock. Such power, if it was a flame god crystal, it would be worth tens of billions of points. If it was some automaton weapon, just the energy usage alone would be shocking. To attack like that, one must be incredibly confident. He didn't know that Luo Feng had a bug army, and every one of them was at a sector lord level, and they could replenish their own energy, unlike automaton weapons that required a huge amount of storing before it could be used. Blood Beast Emperor, Heavy Arrow Emperor. Purple Clock contacted the two of them via the virtual world. That human is here. He's already here. However, from what I see, he has some special weapons. Hence we cannot be careless, act according to the third plan. Third plan. Blood Beast was shocked. We cannot hesitate, we have to go all out from the beginning. There are two parts to this plan. First, the both of you will teleport to two different locations, then. Through the virtual world, Purple Clock swiftly went through the plan. He had wanted to exchange a few blows with Luo Feng alone initially. But now he was scared into calling both Emperor limits immediately. Yangji continent side regions, Blood Beast and Heavy Arrow were already waiting within a palace. The two of them exchanged glances. Don't hold anything back. Blood Beast roared. We have to kill that human immediately. Relax. Heavy Arrow smiled. With our combined attacks, I don't believe he can dodge. Even though they said so, they were both Emperor limits after all. With their status, they definitely had heavenly survival treasures etc. Even though they talked about going all out, they wouldn't waste their trump cards unnecessarily. They both teleported and vanished. In mid-air, silver-winged Luo Feng stared at the distant Purple Clock. Purple Clock, I still thought you were too afraid to show yourself. He gazed at him. Didn't you spread the news about me, and yet, when I appeared, you hid yourself? I had to place a bounty just to find you. This is something you should have found out much earlier, and yet you only appeared now. Looks like you are confident in dealing with me. Humph, I did spread the news, but you hid for pretty long too. Purple Clock smiled. Looks like you bought some special weapon, automaton weapon, or other races. Won't you know in a bit? Luo Feng mocked. Looks like you have some trump cards. Purple Clock smiled. His race's appearance, however, made his smile look even more malevolent. He was waiting. Luo Feng was waiting too. They were both waiting for each other. I'll let you be proud first. Blood Beast and Heavy Arrow will be here immediately. No matter what you have, they will take the blow first. I want to see just what you got from the treasure of the tower. No matter what, the body's strength is still the foundation. Purple Clock was cold and filled with killing intent. Purple Clock, bring out whatever you have. Otherwise, it won't be worth my time. Luo Feng muttered within. Two silhouettes appeared in the distance. Purple Clock's eyes gleamed with glee. They are here. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed coldly and gazed at the distance. The two silhouettes gave off terrifying energies. Among which, the tall Blood Beast Emperor glowed with a blood-colored light, and Heavy Arrow made Luo Feng shudder within. Their energies were no weaker than the amplified Gold Kang. Emperor limits. Luo Feng thought. Blood Beast and Heavy Arrow Emperor. Before the battle, Luo Feng had naturally studied quite a bit. Within the entire 26th camp area, including Yangji and Star Tower, he knew about all the strong and renowned warriors, especially the Emperor limits, of which there were these two. It's actually these two, this is going to be troublesome. Luo Feng thought. Human. Blood Beast's single eye was terrifying. Human. Heavy Arrow always wore a mask, making it impossible to see his expression. The two had unleashed all their strength and stared at Luo Feng together. Both of them teleported and rushed at Luo Feng. Die. Purple Clock watched from thousands of kilometers away, happily anticipating. If he didn't have to act at all, letting just the two Emperor limits kill Luo Feng, how perfect that would be. This is the right moment. Luo Feng instantly unleashed Strike Travel with his wings and immediately rushed at Purple Clock. Blood Beast and Heavy Arrow appeared simultaneously and discovered that Luo Feng's instantaneous acceleration far exceeded theirs, leaving them both stunned. Space Lock Armband. Activate. A formless void engraving spread over 10,000 kilometers around him. This was almost like a formless water membrane. The space ripples within were completely locked down. Space Lock. All three enemies were shocked. You all. Luo Feng's eyes gleamed with madness, cannot escape now. This video